Hello there, welcome back to another show. This is, you'll probably notice, a bit different from normal. The reality is my computer crashed last week. I had to get a new one. I'm still setting up, so I'm doing this show a bit differently. It'll probably be this way for about a week, really. But I'm also testing the format so that if I can do videos quicker, if something comes up I want to talk about, I can do it like this, rather than sit with the lights up and all the time. I just want to see how it looks really and how it sounds and things like that. But it's not a permanent thing. It just means it gives me a chance to do videos a bit differently if I want to, if that's something that's useful. So I can use this video to check, see what the quality is and all the rest of it. I'm using OBS to record it, so I'm hoping that everything works out fine. So that's what I'm doing. It's just give it a week or two, I'll probably be back to something approaching normal. It's just I'm still going to buy things with a new computer, transfer files over, so I'm still slowly moving over to a new computer. So it's because it's a new computer, it means you can do other things that are a bit different. Certain things have improved, certain things are just weird and different for me, so I'll get there. I'm going to talk today about social media, though. I'm going to do a little quick thing now. It shouldn't take that long because it's a subject that can get a lot of it can be very annoying, so I'm trying not to go over the top of it. The thing I'm thinking about social media really is how it affects the evolution of humanity, really, because what it is, technology changes humanity in interesting ways, but it's not in obvious ways. It's always an extension of what's already there before, so it's never quite. They'll say, "Oh, this is completely new. Humanity's never had this before." No, it has. It's just at a different speed before, because technology, machines are basically doing what humanity wants. They're not anything new. What they do open up is certain addictive qualities, certain bad habits humans have as a subgroup. I mean, machines don't care. Technology doesn't care. It's not sentient at all. And even if it becomes sentient, I don't think it's going to be sentient in the way that people think it's going to be. A lot of people think AI is going to be like thinking computers that are going to have a completely different personality from us. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not for a very long time. I think we're going to have a lot of information stored and it can imitate us, but I mean, you watch technology from the 80s almost, how it's developed. They've tried and push AI forward and it's not really done anything. It's still a slave to what we want because there's no spark there yet that's actually pushing it forward. It doesn't seem to be one. I mean, it seems to be a biological thing. It took forever for it to happen to us, and we have not figured it out. It'll probably take a long time to figure it out. And maybe machines, the way they carry information is not the way that thought gets developed. It might be a case of combining flesh and machines to make it work. Maybe ways to actually make our brains work better is probably maybe the way that's moving forward. You know, there's lots of things we don't know, like how healthy is it for human beings to live a certain amount of time. With technology living longer and longer, how healthy is that with our social problems and everything else? How are we designed, really? Because we're still designed biologically to evolve, and as you see us going through life and through all our problems, we don't have that much of a clue how most of this biological design works for us. We make so many mistakes, we're so insecure, and we're so basically unaware of what's driving us. You know, how are we meant to program that onto other things, other beings, because we don't understand ourselves and we overreact to the simplest things, and we are so capitalistic and we'll try and sell anything for a quick buck, and we jump at everything. And that's the stage we're at, and that's what technology has brought us to. Because if we look at social media is basically described as a town square, basically, but it's town square times a million or a billion, you know, because it's like so many people are on it, and so many people go do. And outside of a couple of bad actors, I think a lot of the time it's just the fact that people are just talking and not listening, and it's not a, like, people want that kind of curated system, but then if you curate it, you're called a censor, you know. So there's no real in between. Either you're going to be a curated system where you're going to create clusters of humanity that are introverted towards what they think the world is, whether it's left wing, right wing, technological focused technophobes, you know, all the way down to straight earthers, you know, that kind of thing. We're all going to hit our own little clunk, which we've been doing anyway, but it's just, it's something there that's always been there. Before, people lived in their own little shells, and you'd hear about all these like village eccentrics who were just a bit weird and no one took much to do with them. Then you saw people who were very social people, who were like the mayor or the personalities of the town, and then you had the people who just quietly went on with their lives, you know. Now all of them can be on social media. Now the eccentrics can meet up with other eccentrics and they can spin their tales and get weirder and weirder and weirder. It used to be they might get a newsletter or something. Now they have their sessions online, they have their own little news groups and Facebook and websites and all that stuff. And that's a natural thing for humanity to do. It's an invented way to keep people from feeling alone. Even if it's a mad thing they're focused on and combined with, it's still something. It still keeps them from going mad, hopefully. And it's the same with something that's a bit more technologically interesting, like something more socially interesting. I mean, the internet now becomes a good library for the world, so you can learn things. You find people learn a lot more on the internet. I mean, if you're stuck in something, you can check the internet, you can probably find a solution to it 9 times out of 10. You can probably find it. But also the downside is, you can also, if you're like someone who's like, pretty much every medical thing you have to check up on, that's a bad thing because it's too much information. But generally, I think a lot of people, the more balanced people, the people you don't see, can use the internet pretty much fine and get on with their lives. But the other ones can go a bit crazy. But that's normal. Some people are crazy. Human beings are crazy. Human beings can be stupid. We all know that. We're not allowed to say it now. I mean, one of the big things is, with technology, sensitivity can be ratcheted up pretty quickly. But also the backlash to sensitivity can also be up pretty quickly. So any instinct human beings have, whether it being, we have to be nicer to people, which then can go into what we call social justice warriors, where they take offence at everything. Or it could be the other side, which is grow up and grow a backbone and just get on with it, which can extend to something like the more right-wing figures who are so into self-reliance, they kind of ignore social need. Both of those sides can be catered to from social media, and they can bounce off each other, and they can create their own little subdivisions. And the subdivisions, the little cliques, are the problem, because people don't like moving out of their comfort area. But that's not technology's problem. That's our problem. That's us not looking at ourselves and going, I have a problem. I mean, I'm in social groups and online. I mean, there's film groups of film fans who I interact with a lot. I mean, I do it, one little thing, and I probably look down upon most film fans as like, the stuff you like's garbage. It's like, so I'm not looking down at anybody for doing this, because I do it. It's a good way to communicate, and it's healthy as long as you know the limits of it. It's like, it's a very healthy thing. And people are going to keep doing it. I mean, you can't not do it. Technology moves on, we're moving on with it, and we're trying to find new solutions to old problems. And one of the problems I've got is the fact is, A, we can be stupid and impulsive, and we don't like being told no, you're being dumb. And that's the big thing you've got to say to yourself, are you being dumb with something? Because a lot of times you are. You have to have like the self-reliance to say, I'm being stupid. You have to rely on your inner critic to say, I'm being stupid. Don't overdo it, but think about it. So that's normal, just to actually do that kind of thing. But it's also normal to be careful about it and to expand it, try and expand it. What can we do? Because technology isn't self-aware, it's just a machine that's actually an extension of all our good and bad habits. You can see a lot of kindness online. You can see a lot of people being nice to their friends. But during the pandemic, it's helped a lot of people stay together, help people survive the pandemic. And it helps people survive and have friends who have moved away, but you can still communicate with them. I've got friends all over the world now because people who are new at uni, things like that, they live all over the world, so you can communicate them still using like Skype or Facebook or whatever. You can still communicate with them, and it's good. But you always have to temper it. Because if you look at anybody who starts talking about politics, you'll find a lot of the time they're just echoing their social class or echoing their little cluster of groups. So if you're anti-Trump, you know a lot of anti-Trumpers who hate him and it's like he's the worst ever. If you're anti-Biden, it's the same way, and it's like, although Trump is more annoying, Trump can get most people going. You know what I mean? It's always that thing of it's a problem. But you have to sort yourselves out and actually be a good example rather than saying technology is a problem. Technology is not the problem. Technology is just the expansion. They said all this stuff every time there's a new invention. Every time there's an invention of quicker travel, what's it going to do to people? What it really does is, before you were tribal and you created these tribes of very basic information, and no one mixed, so you get tribes of humans who did not develop, and they've got really old-fashioned views, and you still see them around the world promoting their really old-fashioned views that are not good for like gay people or people of different skin colours. You know that, we all know that. But we also have but other cultures had to clash a little bit and actually interact and actually develop. Like, if you look at Europe, one of the reasons Europe developed is that they deal with each other all the time. For centuries, they were fighting each other, there were always in arguments about how do you deal with Christianity, like what's the best way to approach religion and Christ and how you view the world. And they had this kind of social structure based on Christianity and teachings of Christ. And they developed through fighting with and creating enlightenment and doing all that stuff. That was like an early version of the internet, really. It's communication. Now we have a thing where everybody's linked. You can communicate with everybody, and now everyone is feeling that their identity's been sucked away because people are mingling so quickly. It's like, well, who am I? And now you've got this identity politics thing where everyone seems to be almost like grabbing onto their old identities and saying, this is still important to me, and it's caused a lot of problems because a lot of people have moved on. It's like, you just realise, yeah, race is stupid. It's just like, skin colour, who cares? Just whatever your skin colour is. You know, that's just life. But to a lot of people, that's really important because that came from the older structures, older institutions, which they were used to, and now it's like, it's not going, it's all kind of collapsing. So you get a thing where some people are just moving forward quickly, maybe too quickly because you're losing certain things that maybe help you, society, to stay sane. But you're also gaining a lot because you're developing new information, you're getting quicker, and you're actually developing a lot of empathy, so you're not getting the same tribal elements. You might think, that's ways to be tribal. See, I just agree with him because he's politically different from me. We always find tribal things because it's hardwired in our DNA, but we have to use technology around us to try and get above that and try and say, look, that's a bad instinct, that's a horrible instinct, and we have to communicate with people we don't agree with and talk clearly about things, not just jump to the emotional thing. And that's what the new technology does all the time. It's the emotional focus. It's like, how do I feel emotional about this? How do I feel emotional about that? And it becomes this point of, I can't talk to you because you disagree with me in some way, and it's like, so what? I mean, your own family members disagree with you so much. I mean, why do you care what a stranger thinks? Really? I mean, ultimately, it's just their opinion. There's billions of people on the planet. Who cares? And you're probably going to be wrong about half the stuff you believe. It just is. Or half right, because there's I mean, once you get older, you have to realise everything has a reality to it, and a lot of things you believe are only half right because you're ignoring intentionally the other side of the argument that has some validity. We all do that as well to keep ourselves sane. But with the internet and everything going faster, it's harder to hold on to that. So I think a lot of people have, instead of being able to pause and rearrange your identity a little bit to try and work with new information, they're either jump into a different viewpoint quickly because there's so much information that they process it not in detail, or they kind of fall back into what their original view was in a very defensive way. And you have to try and do it your own way. You can read a lot of different people's opinions. That's one thing about the internet is you can read and see people's opinions from all over the political sphere and all over the cultural sphere. So things that you would never think of yourself, you really see thinking, oh, that's why they think that way. That makes sense. If you look around, you can find tons of stuff. I would just say have curiosity, and you'll probably do okay. You probably won't jump into anything too insane too quick. It's just a case of we have to evolve. Things are moving faster. The world's much smaller now because we can travel everywhere. We can be influenced by everything. There really isn't any new culture that we have not seen now. And there is a kind of feeling that everything's been done. I think it's also driving us a bit mad. The world feels overpopulated. There's obviously climate change things going on that we have to deal with as well. There's lots of stuff we have to deal with. We're trying to deal with it logically and not screech about everything and be acting spoiled brats all the time. We have to try and be normal and logical about it all. And I think that's the challenge of evolution of the human species is not some. I think we're waiting this big technological change is going to happen, going to change the world. When it's already happened, it's the speed of how we get information, the big improvement we've had over the last since about 1950 when you get television. Before I had radio, but it was still a bit slow. It was more tied to print press. But television was the first time people were getting a lot more information, and it's been developing. From the 50s to the 80s, we were slowly building information. And then it got really commercialised, and that's when it became a fragmented thing. And from then on, and we've been trying to figure it out. And we haven't figured it out totally, but we're doing okay. We just have to not go nuts. Or when someone's going nuts online, or someone's going nuts in the culture, just say you're crazy, and that's it. You're just being crazy about it, and not take offence. It's just the way human beings evolve. I mean, whatever's happening now will change in 10 years to something else. That'll change to something else. And things you were scared about now won't be relevant in 10 years because there's a big probability they're already getting dealt with out of sight. And they'll move on to something else. And then they'll come back in 20 years' time in a different way. But I thought we dealt with that. It's like everything's dealt with really quick now. Well, that's just the way life works. I just think human beings do not have the capacity to remember all the information that's available to them, to read it and then to remember it. I don't think we're built that way. With so much information that has to be digested by our culture and slowly built into the culture so you understand the rules of the culture that we don't know how to deal with. There's lots of stuff about science that people still don't agree with, that it's like some people don't agree with evolution even though we're proving it exists because their cultures are so backwards because they came from a specific thing that got very insular. And that's what we have to try and avoid, is creating more cultures like that are insular within the new technology, which we're going to do. There's going to be certain insular societies that will build up, certain communities that will build up that will be hard to shake from their beliefs. The left, the right, for science, or science deniers, and that will build up and will have to be worked on. It's going to be a process. I think snapping something it's going to change instantly is not the case. You have to be very patient, repeatedly saying things to get people through, because some people get scared and some people get panicked, and you have to, instead of looking at them as if you're the enemy, you're the worst scumbag ever, it's like try and have compassion and try and be nice to people and try and help them sense that the world's a nicer place and there is a way through your mistakes and there is a way through things that have gone wrong. And if you have a focus on trying to be truthful and actually have find out a lot of information, humanity will move forward in a very good way. You just have to be calm and not fall into bad habits. So we are evolving, even as we speak, we are evolving our cultures, our way of dealing with things. At the moment, there's a lot of panic about it. I think that's just partly because of COVID, because everyone's locked down, but also it's a blip. We're dealing with lots of information. I think there's been a bit of a panic about identity and what we're losing, what we're gaining. Should we strip everything back to the basics so we can know who we are, or do we push forward and just combine everything and see where it goes? Because we seem to be in the 80s and 90s, seem to be mixing cultures a lot, and then now it's like separate them again, and we don't trust each other, and it's like, well, we can join together again and just be kind. A lot of people, everyone knows people with different races to them, and it's fine. Everyone's going fine, because once you start speaking to people with different backgrounds, they're just people. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think we just need to get back to deal with people and try to work out, is this area you're making mistakes, and try and sort that. But don't have to go to the top, you just have to be normal. Anyway, I hope all this made sense. I know I'm kind of waffling this one. It's just it's a complicated subject, and I hope I've done it some sort of justice. It's just every so often I try and do these kind of videos and seeing what I can do with it. I'm just trying format out and seeing how this technology works as well. So I'm hoping this all works out well and it's an interesting video and you enjoy it. There'll be less videos this week because I'm still dealing with the new tech, because I had to get a new computer. So it'll be a bit slower this week. Plus I haven't really seen much because I've been dealing with stuff at home with the computer, with the technology. So I haven't seen that much. I've seen one or two things to talk about, but not much. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back soon with some more. Right, bye for now.